I didn't want to initially do a video like this until closer to the 2028 Democratic primary, but my thought process is if I do it now, he'll probably say and do enough in the meantime to where I can do a part 2 closer to that point. Ultimately, I want to lay out all of the information on Gavin Newsom, Gruesome Newsom, as Trump calls him. I think we need an overview of what Newsom has done and said as California governor, so as to dissuade as many people as possible from thinking he's the right person to be the Democratic nominee in 2028. He sure knows how to talk smack to Trump online. Unless that's flirting, I can't tell. But he also vibed out with Steve Bannon on his, whatever this was, a bit of a twosome Newsom, if you will. Hit him here, hit him there kind of strategy. I know what you're going for, big dog. As long as it isn't a threesome kind of situation. I don't even want to know what that means. It means he threw it back for his Republican colleagues. Ew. But he also uses AI to dunk on Trump, which is a big reason why he's making a name for himself right now. But repeat after me, dunking on Trump is not the litmus test. The litmus test to give this country any semblance of hope is policy that will improve people's lives. Universal health care, actually ending wars, restoring reproductive rights, a jobs guarantee, radical populist change, where we stop funneling endless money to the military-industrial complex and billionaires, and instead improving the lives of Americans. Address cost of living and actual policy like Zoran Mamdani's campaign did so well. It's obvious from Zoran's success that the way forward for Democrats is to reject the do-nothingness and status quo politics that indeed helped bring Trump back from 34 criminal counts. Whenever I see someone act like Newsom is Trump's worst nightmare, I also think, hey, maybe that's not a good thing at all. Hear me out, and not in a good way. Because his social media strategy right now is basically just taking Trump's formula of AI slop in all caps, but making it lib. I don't think resisting fascism means copying their social media strategy. And it's just kind of giving, oh, you're Trump, but liberal. Not a great look. Newsom gives the most stereotypical politician vibe I've ever clocked personally, so I don't even think the optics of him are good, to be honest. But let's get into policy, because that's all that should matter. He's not good on unions or labor. In California, he vetoed a bill for workers that would get unemployment insurance after 2 weeks of striking. He's also helped mediate strikes, but often with a nearsightedness. Or you could say capitulation to the AI industry. And given his AI use, I'd say he's a little too cozy with AI. The Democratic nominee in 2028 must be anti-AI and vocally anti-AI. It is a deal breaker. In 2023, when the Screen Actors Guild was striking, an agreement on AI was reached, but it was really only about replicating actors or actresses without their consent. And now we have studios attempting to use AI actors, which potentially displaces actors. Like, the conversation around AI really needs to focus on labor rights. And I mean, I'm tired of enduring AI slop. Imagine being the governor of a state with such a colossal industry such as the film industry. You see the threat of AI right there, right in front of your face. It's right there in front of your face. You aren't trashing on AI every opportunity you get. Oh, instead you're going to use it on your Twitter. Oh, okay. The governor of the most art-oriented state. I don't care where you place yourself on the political spectrum, but AI has no place in art. Maybe because art is inherently human. I don't know, pretty obvious to me. And any politician that does not understand why we have to protect the arts is not progressive, nor intelligent, and a bad person. And objectively a terrible option to be president, because the music and film industry should be booming with jobs. But instead, the country that is considered the place for these things is allowing AI to erode away these industries, making for less jobs and less economic growth. We also have to fight for art because it can be a major source for voices in social justice. And you are only enabling fascism over and over again by not doing anything about that. But also, when you use AI in your little quips against Trump, it's a major red flag for me. AI is one of the most obvious threats we face, and generative AI needs severe regulation. It's not funny. You fucking suck for AI posting. But also, Trump is naturally funny. Gavin Newsom is not naturally funny. Newsom may have a degree of charisma, but isn't funny and is just making up for that with this AI slop. How about hiring a comedian? Because, you live in the art state. Have a comedian write funny tweets, but instead he's using AI, which is a conscious choice. And again, a huge red flag. And also, if you did hire a comedian, it wouldn't feel like you're completely out of touch and trying too hard. It's so obviously a politician doing the Steve Buscemi meme, but also, who is this for? It's not funny and I don't see anyone falling for it. It doesn't seem like to me in the conversations I have in my circle that AI is very well liked by the general public right now. And the people that would be voting for him hypothetically certainly don't like AI. Which, another reason to cut this AI shit out is that, well, I don't want this next younger, I guess it would be Gen Alpha generation, to come up thinking that AI is cool or something. Like we did with cell phones or social media. Like, please no. Normalize being anti-AI. Straight up. You have zero to lose with that opinion, but a lot to lose by using and liking AI. I mean, please, for the love of God, stop using AI. It's incredibly disturbing, and not in a good David Lynch kind of disturbing.
It is happening again.
It's not funny, it's a threat to every industry. Also, it looks like shit, and ChatGPT is usually, always wrong. But also, it's terrible for the environment and uses way too much power. We're just wasting our valuable resources on the dumbest shit you've ever seen in your life. Like Sora, which is the scariest shit I've ever seen in my life. Replicating dead celebrities in the most unhinged ways possible. I've seen so much racist AI being used on Twitter. I really don't need to see AI George Floyd saying she's Sora on my George until I Soros. Is the point to make the internet even more difficult for senior citizens to use? We're 2 days away from every person over 60 thinking Audrey Hepburn faked her death. AI is a bubble. It's unsustainable, and it's bound to burst. AI is another major litmus test. We have to pull back from the use of generative AI, not continue to use it in a liberal way. And if you want people to vote for you, you will be condemning AI at every turn, and you will be blaming this whole AI takeover on Republicans, which would be extremely accurate, and speak about humanity and collectiveness. You fight fascism with actual convictions, not showing that you are one side of the same coin. No amount of AI slop and shitting on Trump is going to improve anyone's conditions in this country. But hold up, he also has a tough on homelessness approach, which speaks volumes for his lack of empathy. There's also a general housing shortage in California. Okay, let's do the math here. If someone has to live on a street, they can't afford housing, or housing not available, therefore must sleep on bench full of nails, or a stoop full of spikes.
Yikes! Spikes!
So, homeless, I'm just taking a wild guess here, means someone doesn't have a home? So, in other words, public housing is another way this man fails miserably, and either doesn't care or understand material conditions for people. And I'm gonna say it's both, that he doesn't understand how a society should support its citizens and doesn't give a shit. And he simply takes a neoliberal centrism approach to not addressing underlying conditions. Issues like housing, healthcare, mental health, and jobs. The kind of shit that prevents people from being homeless. And how about when he called Trump a socialist? Which should tell you he's not progressive, and should also tell you he's wrong, because we should be moving towards a system that focuses on material conditions, not demonizing the kind of system that does. And certainly not equating someone like Trump, who has zero interest in improving conditions, to an ideal system which would advocate for that. To me, this reads as a liberal way of manufacturing consent around capitalism for Gavin Newsom. And the last thing we need to be doing is feeding liberals this idea that capitalism is the only way. And that Trump is anything but a crony capitalist who has lived the most capitalist life I can imagine. Newsom even said that Trump is a crony capitalist, but then also said that he perverted capitalism, which is so unbelievably wrong. Because Trump in this current stage of capitalism is inevitable within capitalism. If you rely upon the freedom of the market and for corporations to dictate public sentiment, it will only continue to devolve into worse iterations of that. How can you have a system based on profit over community, public good, and equity? And then when corporations and billionaires take complete advantage of it, you pawn it off like it's one person's fault, but then also at the same time say they're not capitalist at all? The capitalist system made Trump, and it is exactly what capitalism sought to do. Also, nationalizing Intel or a corporation is not inherently bad, which is why he called Trump a socialist. We constantly give government contracts and grants and subsidies to companies. And the government shouldn't just be giving out taxpayer money for corporations to then go abuse their power, abuse the system and the people in that system with that money. We should be nationalizing corporations to avoid less abuse of power in the private sector, born of profit motive. Trump doesn't intend this, though, of course. His use of any corporation is surely nefarious, or to keep chip manufacturing in the United States rather than China. Trump is only interested in making the wealthy more wealthy, not improving wages or working conditions. Definitely a capitalist. Newsom is also a longtime supporter of Israel and an advocate of a two-state solution, which I happened to see on a Fortnite stream with Connor. Palestine is another litmus test, because we should be advocating for equal rights, and that this fascist regime is changed. If Palestine has its own state all of a sudden, what's to keep Israel from continuing to do what it's been doing for decades? You already have one state, you arrest Netanyahu for war crimes, bring in a new government that stands for human rights, free Palestinians, end the blockade, liberate them, and give them reparations. Right now. If you are progressive, you lead with human rights, and you seek liberation via human rights and labor rights. That's it. Ain't shit else to it. Newsom has also oddly been vocal about trans people in sports, which is a non-issue. There were less than 10 trans athletes in the NCAA last year, in the whole country. This is such an insane distraction and non-issue, and it's only used by Republicans to further subjugate that community. I mean, that's certainly the intentions by Republicans being loud as hell about it, which is why it's really stupid for Newsom to even cave to that issue at all. I don't think that Newsom is anti-trans, but he is stupid, I think, yes. And also just not a very human rights-focused leader at all. And that's not what we need as a political leader right now. My hope is that progressives can beat whatever this is, so that a progressive can be the nominee in 2028. And the way we do that is if you are vocal about this brand of liberalism just not being an effective way to lead, and how progressives seek to improve your life. We can't afford this whole milquetoast centrism thing again, because it does nothing for anyone. Only a handful of politicians actually care, I think, and AOC is one of them. I don't think mainstream Democrats like Gavin Newsom care. And they're also not politically or intellectually equipped. And that's because they're beholden to corporate interest, which is against your interest. Look at who will make a concrete material difference in your life. Don't just consider voting for an AOC or volunteering for a Jon Stewart, but please prioritize policy and material conditions as the things that matter when you talk about these things, online or in person, instead of hyping up just anyone who goes against Trump. The way we beat this Trumpism is by focusing on policies that will make lives better. Universal health care, strengthen unions, tax billionaires, improve wages, bring down cost of living, and eliminate the conflict of interest in corporate donations that cause Democrats to also be on the side of corporations, rather than you. If we accomplish this, your life will improve. It really is that simple. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.